Here is a flower. This flower is having calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Whenever a flower is having both male and female, there is a chance of self-pollination, and we have studied sometimes because of some adjustments they does not show self-pollination. Instead of self-pollination they will go for cross-pollination. Okay, when they were going for cross-pollination, when it is opened, there is no guarantee that this stigma will receive the right pollen, correct pollen or suitable pollen. It means when a flower is opened like this, so many pollen grains may fall by wind or by insects. So many pollen grains means so many types of pollen grains. What are those so many types of pollen grains? Maybe incompatible pollen grains of its own anthers. It means self-sterile, self-incompatible or prepotent pollen grains of the same flower may fall. These pollen grains may fall, or pollen grains from other plants belongs to other species. So it is opened. So when insects are coming or by wind, some other pollen grains which are coming from some other different species, not of the same species, some different species of pollen grains may fall, which are incompatible, they may fall, or so there is no guarantee that a correct type of pollen or suitable type of pollen or right type of pollen or compatible type of pollen may land on the stigma. There is no guarantee. The transfer of right pollen. What is meant by right pollen? What is meant by a correct pollen? What is meant by a compatible pollen? A pollen which is having same type of compatibility of that stigma. So pollen and stigma should have compatibility. What is this compatibility? The compatibility is present in the proteins of pollen and stigma, or the chemicals present in the pollen and stigma. This is called compatibility. So after pollination, during pollen pistil interaction, there is no guarantee that a flower which is opened, it may receive a right pollen or wrong pollen. Right pollen means compatible. A flower may receive a right pollen or compatible pollen or suitable pollen. A flower may receive a right pollen, compatible, or wrong pollen, incompatible pollen, or not suitable pollen. So this is the ability of stigma, the ability, capability or quality of the stigma is that, ability of the stigma is that it has to select or choose which is right pollen, which is wrong pollen. Which is right pollen or which is wrong pollen. So how stigma is going to, by pollen pistil interaction. What is pollen pistil interaction? Whenever a flower is here, whenever so many pollen grains are falling on the stigma of the flower, the receptivity of the stigma is only for compatible pollen or right pollen or suitable pollen. That pollen only will be accepted by the stigma. It will allow that pollen to germinate and to develop pollen tube inside the stigma. If the pollen is incompatible, if the pollen is a wrong pollen or not of the same type of stigma, it is an unsuitable pollen, then stigma is not going to accept that pollen. It will reject the pollen. So the ability of the stigma is whether to accept the pollen or reject the pollen. It depends upon various chemical components present in pollen and pistil. So this interaction is called pollen pistil interaction starting. So whenever a suitable pollen falls, stigma, if correct right pollen is there, stigma will receive that pollen. It will allow the pollen to germinate. It will allow the pollen to produce pollen tube. If a wrong pollen comes, if a wrong pollen falls, stigma is not going to accept, it will reject. So acceptance or rejection of pistil will accept pistil, it will accept only right pollen to germinate. It will reject the wrong pollen How it will reject the wrong pollen? It will stop the germination of the pollen. Or if pollen is germinated, it will stop the growth of the pollen tube inside the layers of the style. So there are two conditions. If the right type of pollen is there, it will accept and make it to germinate and to produce pollen tube. If wrong type of pollen, it will reject the wrong type of pollen either by inhibiting or preventing its germination, inhibiting or preventing germination. So if a wrong type of pollen falls on the stigma, incompatible pollen, the pistil will reject the pollen. It will stop germination of the pollen either by inhibiting or preventing the germination or inhibiting or preventing the pollen tube growth. So here in the pollen pistil interactions, my dear students, we are going to see what is this pollen pistil interaction is and how when this pistil is able to get this ability to judge, to select whether it is a right pollen or wrong pollen. It is because there is a continuous dialogue between pollen and pistil. It means there is a continuous dialogue. Dialogue means trial and error method. Always on a pistil, some pollen is falling. It may be some other pollen is falling, some other landing. So when so many pollen grains are landing, this interaction, it is able to judge which is suitable based upon the chemical components present in that pollen grain, which are suitable to the chemical components present in the style. This is called continuous dialogue between pollen and pistil. A pistil is able to recognize suitable pollen. If suitable pollen, it will allow its germination and growth of the pollen tube. If pollen is not suitable, if pollen is incompatible, if pollen is wrong type, it will reject by stopping its germination or by inhibiting its pollen tube growth. Now, sir, our botanist, in recent the researchers, they observed some of the chemical components which are present in the pollen and in the pistil, which are responsible for to promote the growth and germination of the pollen and growth of the pollen tube. In recent years, botanists able to identify the chemical components which are responsible for either acceptance or rejection. Acceptance or rejection of a particular pollen. Acceptance. So, some chemical components are present in the stigma which are accepting the chemical components of pollen. So, there is a interaction between the chemical components of pistil and pollen. Because of this interaction, they were able to allow them or they are able to reject them. So, acceptance, those chemical components which are believed to be responsible for either acceptance or rejections, they were identified by our botanists in recent years, which improves our knowledge and understanding about pollen pistil interactions. Next, if a right pollen falls on the lands on the surface of the stigma, if a right pollen lands on the stigma owing to the rules of pollen pistil interaction, so if a particular pollen which is having compatibility with this stigma or pistil, if it falls, which is called owing to the rules of pollen pistil interaction, then the stigmatic lobes or stigmatic secretions, they will allow the pollen to germinate to produce a pollen tube from one of the germ pores. If a right pollen lands on the stigma, owing to the rules of pollen pistil interaction, pistil allows the pollen to germinate. What is meant by germinate here? Germinate means to produce pollen tube from one of its germ pores. So what are germ pores? We have seen in the previous classes, germ pores are those regions on the pollen, on the exine wall, where sporopollenin is absent. If sporopollen is there, it is not degraded by any enzyme or any temperatures, extreme conditions. This cannot be broken down. Wherever sporopollen is absent, in those areas are called germ pores. These germ pores, from these germ pores, they will be diluted by the stigmatic secretions. When they were diluted by the stigmatic secretions, automatically the intine wall comes out in the form of a tube, which is called pollen tube. Whenever intine wall comes out in the form of a pollen tube, the diagram should be like this. This is carpel or pistil. This is the stigma. Style and ovary. Inside the ovary, this is called cavity of the ovary or ovarian cavity or chamber or locule. In this locule, there is a ovule. This ovule is inverted ovule. It is having integuments. Inside the ovule, there is embryo, sac or female gametophyte. This female gametophyte is having egg apparatus towards the micropyle with synergids, filiform apparatus, opposite side antipodals. In the central, two polar nuclei are secondary nucleus or central cell. And as a matter of fact, a single pollen is not going to fall on the stigma. So many pollen grains are going to fall on the stigma. When so many pollen grains are going to fall on the stigma, different types of pollen grains. Some may not germinate, some may germinate. But pollen tube is not well grown. It is not completely grown. Some other pollen grains may be germinated, but pollen tube is not developed inside. Some are not germinated, some are germinated. They may be not compatible. They may be of wrong type. They were not correct type. So, either their germination is stopped or their pollen tube growth is stopped. Some of the pollen grains which are compatible. Compatible means whenever a germ pore which is not having here germ pore, this germ pore region will dissolve by the stigmatic secretions which is called pistil interaction, chemical components to accept the, and it will allow the inner wall intine to come out in the form of a tube. So, whenever in the plant kingdom, any plant group which produces pollen tube, any pollen grain belongs to any plant group, if it produces pollen tube, this process is called siphonogamy. Production of pollen tube is called pollen tube. If any pollen produces pollen tube, this phenomena, this condition is called siphonogamy. Siphonogamy. Siphonogamy is a technical term used to define that a pollen grain is able to produce pollen tube. So, the cell contents, whatever is present in these, what are present in a pollen grain? There are two cells which are called vegetative cell and generative cell. In the vegetative cell, vegetative nucleus is there, generative cell and generative nucleus. So, when it opens, the vegetative nucleus and the cytoplasm comes. So, maximum intine will be only this much in size, but the extension of the intine is because of the cytoplasm and contents of the vegetative cell. So, vegetative cell is also called tube cell. Neat question. Why vegetative cell is considered as tube cell? Because pollen tube is formed by the components of vegetative cell. So when it comes, in the beginning, vegetative nucleus is here, the generative nucleus is here, so two-celled cell, two-celled stage. In 60% of the angiospermic plants, we have studied in the previous class that at a two-celled stage, 60% of the angiosperms, they will shed their pollen grains into the atmosphere. When two-celled stage means a pollen grain consists of vegetative cell and generative cell. Here, vegetative cell is here, generative cell is here. Gradually, vegetative, generative, gradually, when the pollen tube is moving towards the style and into the ovary side, the positions of this generative cell, vegetative cell will changes. Gradually, vegetative cell and the nucleus is going to slowly degenerate, slowly, whereas generative cell comes in front. Concept: when pollen tube is growing more, generative cell will come, vegetative cell will be at the back. Vegetative cell or vegetative nucleus, generative cell, generative nucleus. This nucleus divides by mitosis. So in 60% of the angiospermic plants, at the two-celled stage, it is released, shed out, it lands on the stigma. So when it was landed on the stigma, it is having only two cells, vegetative and generative. And when it is progressively growing towards the inside the pistil, that is style and ovary, generative cell undergoes mitotic division to produce two male gametes. One generative cell produces two male gametes. Two male gametes. So one mitosis is equal to two male gametes. So in 60% of the angiospermic plants, this is the situation. A pollen tube will be germinated and produces two male gametes. Whereas in the remaining 40% of the angiospermic plants, remaining 40% of the angiospermic plant, by the time when pollen grain is shed, by the time when pollen grain is released into the atmosphere, which is carried by any agent, when it falls on the lands on the stigma, already it is having three-celled condition. In 40% of the family members, angiospermic plants, three-celled stage. Three-celled stage of pollen is nothing but, what are the three cells? One, vegetative nucleus or vegetative cell. Two, male gametes. So total three. So in 60% of the angiosperms, two-celled condition, it falls here. Later it will grow inside. It will, while growing, the generative cell divides by mitosis to form two male gametes. Whereas in three-celled condition, when a pollen grain is released at three, what is meant by three-celled condition here? Three-celled condition is nothing but one vegetative and the two male gametes which are already developed in the anther and they are landing on the stigma. Now, the pollen tube is growing towards the ovary. Ovary, style, stigma. Now, when the pollen tube is growing towards the ovary, it is moving. Question comes whether it is moving this side or this side or this side. So many chances are there, possibilities are there. But it was written that pollen tube, it may move from any of the sides, either of these sides. Finally, it will reach to the embryo sac through the micropylar region to carry the male gametes. To carry the male gametes, the pollen tube moves through the micropylar region. Why? Why? Because at micropylar region, egg apparatus is present. In the egg apparatus, egg cell is there, whose pair on the sides of the egg cell, two synergids are there. In these synergids, finger-shaped projections are there, which are called filiform apparatus. Filiform apparatus is that structure which produces, liberates chemical substances. These chemical substances are liberated from the filiform apparatus or at a micropylar region. So, by the influence of these chemical substances, this pollen tube is moving either by this or this. Finally, it reaches the micropylar region. It enters into one of the synergids. Because of this movement is called chemotactic movement. Chemotaxis. What is chemotaxis or chemotactic movement? Chemotactic movement is the movement exhibited by pollen tube towards the embryo sac, which is found in the ovule, and it will enter into the ovule through the micropylar region. Why only micropylar region? Because here the filiform apparatus is situated in the synergids in the form of egg apparatus. By these chemical substances, it is entering this process of entry of pollen tube into a ovule through the micropyle is called porogamy. Entry of pollen tube into a ovule or into the ovule through the micropylar region, porogamy. What is porogamy? Por, micropyle, gamy, fusion. Entry of pollen tube into the ovule through micropyle. This is called porogamy. There are so many other methods. They may move through the chalazal end, chalazogamy. Pollen tube may enter into the ovule through the chalaza and finally it enters here. Or pollen tube may enter into the through the funicle and integuments. So the pollen tube, there are three options. It can move through the porogamy or chalazogamy or mesogamy. Mesogamy is the entry of pollen tube into the ovule through the funicle or integuments. Mesogamy. Chalazogamy, entry of pollen tube into the through the chalazal end. Porogamy, mostly porogamy, directly it enters into the embryo sac ovule through the micropylar end, which is called porogamous or porogamy. Now, sir, once what is pollen pistil interaction? Pollen pistil interaction is nothing but all the events that occur from the time of deposition of pollen on the stigma until it produces the pollen tube and pollen tube enters into the ovule. When pollen tube enters, so starting from the deposition of pollen on the stigma, until the pollen tube enters into the ovule. All these events comes under pollen pistil interaction. Right? 1 mark question. They may ask this question in the PUC examination. It may be a 3 mark question or 5 mark question, or even if 1 marks 1 sentence answer question, or in the CET examination, or in the NEET examination of any standard national examination. What do you understand about pollen pistil interaction? And they may ask statement type of question, which is correct and wrong, or identify the following statements which are correct with reference to the pollen pistil interaction. So, pollen pistil interaction, all the events pollen pistil interaction means all the events that occur from the time of deposition. Deposition means deposits, when pollen deposits on the stigma, land on the stigma. From the time of deposition of pollen on the stigma until pollen tube enters, all the events that occur from the time of deposition of pollen on the stigma until pollen tube enters into the ovule are called pollen pistil interactions. From the time of deposition to the entry of pollen tube into the, so ungerminated pollen, uncompatible pollen, compatible pollen, pollen tube, style, pollen tube, male gametes, entry, embryo, sac or female gametophyte. This is called ovule. Integuments, funicle, chalaza, micropyle. Egg apparatus, secondary nucleus or fusion nucleus or central cell, antipodals or vegetative cells, synergids, helper cells or cooperative cells, filiform apparatus. Let us see this. All those events regarded as pollen pistil interaction. Now, with the knowledge we gained during pollen pistil interaction by our scientists, our botanists, plant breeders, they have developed some techniques, some skills, some new sciences to improve the crop plants. How they are going to improve the crop plants? Plant breeding is a process of production of new varieties of plants. New varieties of plants means the plant which is able to give more yield, which is able to produce disease resistant varieties of plants, which is able to give more color, size, and all qualities, almost all the qualities of leaves, fruits, yield, everything, drought resistant, even in the absence of water it can grow. So more we want, more the better qualities we want to expect it from a cross between two plants. So whenever we are making a cross between two plants, this process is called hybridization. Whenever we are crossing two plants, which is called hybridization artificially, which two plants you are going to cross? Definitely you will select these plants which are good. When you enter into a crop field to see whichever plant is having tall in size or good in color or large fruit, sweet fruit, taste, all these things we will see. So when we see, we'll observe some good characters, we'll select them as parent plants. Parent plant 1, parent plant 2, or parent plant, which is one is called female plant, one is called male plant. Then male plant may be having some good characters and some bad characters. Female plant may be having some good or bad characters. And our motto of hybridization is, we have to cross these to get maximum superior qualities in a single plant. So this is the purpose of hybridization. So a hybrid plant should possess maximum superior qualities in one plant. Here 3 bad characters, 2 good characters. Here 4 good characters, 3 bad characters. 4 plus 2, 6. Maximum 6 characters in a single plant. Maybe 5 characters or 4. So a hybrid plant is that which possess superior qualities than its parents. This is the purpose of hybridization. Now our scientists, after understanding the pollen pistil interactions, they have noticed that some chemical components are responsible for pollen and pistil interaction. They are able to identify those chemicals. Now, once upon a time, this is a plant of different species, we can cross them. And nowadays, we are able to cross even 2 different plants belongs to 2 different genera. So they have mentioned in the textbook 2 different species or even genera, 2 different genera, which are impossible in olden days. Now it is becoming possible. And how it is becoming possible? If we want this plant to cross with some other foreign plant, but whenever we want to cross this plant with a foreign plant, the pollen and the pistil may not be compatible. It is incompatible. It is difficult, no, impossible to cross. But with the knowledge, plant breeding program, plant breeders, they have manipulated the chemical components of pollen and pistil. They have manipulated, they have changed, they have exploited. So they know what are the chemical components. For example, in this pollen and in this pistil, both are not compatible, but they already know which is compatible. So they are going to incorporate compatible chemical components here. Even though uncompatible pollen and pistil can be made compatible by understanding the knowledge in pollen pistil interaction, which is advantageous for plant breeding programs to develop superior qualities of plants by artificial hybridization. In the textbook clearly given 31 and 32 pages. Let us see what is artificial hybridization. This diagram is of importance in the PUC examination. Make note, everything is there in the textbook. Our duty is only to describe it descriptively in an analytical way, clear way. Process of artificial hybridization. In the textbook, at the end of the pollen pistil interaction, last sentence, underline that, to manipulate even incompatible pollen and pistil can be made compatible because of our understanding about the knowledge of pollen and pistil chemical components. Artificial hybridization. What is this artificial hybridization means? In nature, generally, plants are there, naturally cross-pollination is going on, which is called hybridization. Naturally, themselves, various insects by wind or various birds or bats, various pollinating agents, bees, wasps, moths, ants. So, during natural hybridization, we are not going to expect which type of pollen is falling on the stigma, from where the source of pollen is, and what are the characters of that plant which releases this pollen, and what are the characters of the naturally available plant, female plant, male plants pollen, female plants. We are not expecting what that male plant is, whether it is having homozygous condition or heterozygous condition, whether it is having all good properties or bad properties only. In this plant, having female which receives the pollen in natural, maybe what are the qualities, we doesn't know. We are not having awareness about this. But artificial hybridization is a process. Wantedly, we are going to select two plants of our choice. We are going to select two plants of our choice. What is our choice? Definitely we will go for better and better plants, better yielding plants, disease resistant plants, drought resistant plants, some other better good characters. So whenever we select two plants as parent plants, because of their good characters, we will select out of these two, one as male and one as female. Now we are going to cross these by taking the pollen. So what is pollen from the male plant to the female plant on the stigma? So the process of collection of these plants, it means desirable quality of pollen, desirable, and the same desirable quality of pollen is landing on the same desirable qualities of female. So both qualities we have tested, we have selected. Wantedly we want to see what will happen. Our expectation, we will reach our expectation or not. This is called artificial hybridization. Artificial hybridization can be conducted in private or public sectors, government institutions or university campuses. We'll see in the next class. All the best. See thoroughly each and every topic of sexual reproduction. If you prepare well from the beginning, whatever questions are going to come in CET or NEET examinations or any AIMS examination or JIP, very easy to answer. Only thing is, listen that, thoroughly prepare it, try to understand the concept oriented question, multiple selection, multiple choice, example oriented question, or directly cut and paste from the textbook. They will cut the sentence from the textbook, they will change that, they will transfer that sentence into various forms, they can create a question, which is called n-dimensional formation of questions. The format of questions may be variable, depends upon the teacher to teacher, but the subject is only NCERT syllabus. All the best.